I was first involved in stage 23 years ago. I believe it was 23 years ago. And that would mean I started when I was 6 or 7. And I had seen it the first year, and I was so, I was blown away, I was amazed, and it was at a time, 20-some years ago, it was in the height of the whole AIDS crisis, and it was probably one of the first things that I had actually been a part of, just to observe. I saw so many people doing something, and I thought this was a phenomenal way for me to be able to give back, and also, because of doing the sign language interpreting, it was an opportunity to integrate that, because at the time the deaf community was really left out of a lot of information, as much as the hearing community really at that time. The first year they did sign language for stage, actually David Galligan approached me because he had seen me doing another show, and I was doing something called shadow interpreting, where you're actually on stage with the actors and you act as their shadow. And the technique, you use 3 or 4 different interpreters, and eventually they literally blend into the scenes. So it's a great technique, it's really fun. Anyway, he fell in love with it and he said, "Can you do music?" And I said, "Yeah." So that's where I was. I've been, knock on wood, I've been asked to be a part of it every year since. And so now I think I'm like a team mascot. But I was determined to just keep doing this as long as we were able to do it and as long as we had to. So I'm still here, still kicking. I first got interested in sign language, it was many years ago, and I was in one of the first mainstream programs in the state of California and the country at that time. And I was one of 5 hearing students. There were 5 deaf students who were put into a hearing high school. And they asked us to participate in an experiment. And for a couple periods of the day, we had a teacher who, the first day, introduced us, said, "This is the alphabet." There was a light over the door instead of a bell in terms of changing periods in classes. And that was kind of it. She stopped speaking and we were left on our own, and we had to keep up in some way, shape, or form. So I got very interested in it, and it stayed with me, and it still stays with me. For some reason, I've tried stopping 2 or 3 times, more than that actually, and every single time there's been something or someone who's just kind of dragged me back into it, or I've just found myself involved in the deaf community and involved in sign language, and I finally stopped fighting it. And I've been really blessed to be able to do the things we've been able to do because of it. And it's been a really wonderful, wonderful language and a phenomenal culture, and I love being a part of working with stage as providing just another level to hopefully a hearing audience as well. I was really honored to receive the Carrie Hamilton Award, primarily because of Carrie Hamilton, also because of stage, and also the meaning behind it. I just thought it was just a really great, wonderful, thoughtful thing to do for the cast and people who really dedicate so much time and effort and energy. The Carrie Hamilton Award is for, the way I describe it is kind of like, it would be Best Boy in the entertainment industry, it would be Girl Friday. It's for special achievement more than anything else. It's for doing things above and beyond. Everybody's already dedicating their time and energy to it. And it's really about people giving recognition to someone who's just there. And that would be me. I'm willing to lift ropes, pull curtains, fall off stage, being kicked, or, well, if you see me with Carol Cook, you'll see shot, pushed, thrown things at, tied up, you name it. So I've done it. So I think I deserve the award now that I'm thinking about it. Carol Cook and I started not speaking to each other on stage quite a while ago. She tells the story one way, I'm going to tell it my way. When Carol Cook and I first met, Carol saw this person in the corner waving his hands and didn't quite know what it was. And she thought that was kind of cool. And then she thought it was really ridiculous. And then she thought, well, how can I put this in my act? So, because it was all about Carol Cook. And she approached the director, David Galligan, and said, "I'd really like to use that young man over there," and who was 6 at the time. And she was determined, and David Galligan came up to me and said, "Hey, do you mind if Carol Cook does something with him?" And I said, "Yeah, sure, that's fine, but just know that I'm there for a reason." And So it just evolved, and for whatever reason, some people call it chemistry, some people call it a sibling rivalry, but we have been at it ever since. And it's a love-hate relationship, and I truly love her, and I hate that she keeps picking on me, but it's okay. It's for a good cause, and it's actually it's something I kind of in an odd way look forward to when I know she's going to be there. So there are so many memorable moments with of being a part of Stage. Some of the earlier ones are hearing Glennis Johns singing "Send in the Clowns." My favorite story, I'll try and be brief, it's really hard, but Shirley Jones and her 3 kids did the show one year together. It was the Doolittle Theater. And the stage in the Doolittle Theater, if you're on the stage, if you look to the side, it's a very old theater, so it has the old-fashioned 3 stories, and the dressing rooms are all off to the side. And there's little squares cut in the holes. And Shirley Jones was on stage, and we were all rehearsing, and it was Patrick Cassidy, Sean Cassidy, David Cassidy, and all 3 of them, for whatever reason, were either doing a water fight or chasing each other. Now, the corner of my eye, I could see them running up, the silhouettes of them running up and down the stairs and down, chasing each other. And in the midst of it all, Shirley Jones, just as Shirley Jones, stopped what she was doing, turned, and became mom and said, "Boys, what are you doing up there?" And in unison, all 3, I could see the shadows, all 3 froze, and you heard them in unison go, "Nothing." She's like, "Stop it right now, we're working." And I'm sorry, and that was, I don't know why, but that's one of my favorite memories of Stage. There were so many times I've been thrown in signing, especially for Stage. There are always things that happen that you don't expect. There are people, and even when I learn, people ask me what's the process in terms of learning and getting prepared for the show. And sometimes it's easier than others, but it's a long and involved process. So I try not to learn it too much because there's always things that happen. And one of the times that I was really thrown, it involved a great deal of, I'll just say, language. And I wasn't prepared for it because they were supposed to say something else, and what came out was something else. And my jaw dropped and my hands froze in midair, and it took me a good 10 bars to catch up. So that's probably one of the times that I got most thrown. And Carol Cook always throws me, so that goes without saying. I'd like to throw Carol Cook, but I can't. Who can? So I want to hug her. David Galligan, Carol Cook are 2 people I owe a career to, and they have been a large part of my life on a lot of levels. And David's become a really good friend over the years. And I admire and respect him, his work, and his dedication. This is one of those things that he's dedicated more time than you can imagine for a cause that not everybody has to partake in. And he's made it really his life's work. And I think that speaks volumes about who he is as a person. And if you've seen any of the shows, you'll see he's pretty darn good at what he does. I would like to see the future of Stage, believe it or not, and it needs to. There's a reason we're doing it. There's a reason we're here. There's a reason why we're participating. There's a reason why every single person has donated countless hours, countless energy. There are spirits that go along with this place at this point, and it needs to end.